Marching Powder 2025. This is ostensibly a rom-com. Well, I saw a trailer in which Danny Dyer adds a humorous prologue, and there's moments about it which slightly help endear me towards the film, but in many ways I was, certainly first time round watching it, revolted by it. Well, all I can say really is there is some nuance and there's a feeling, and the feeling it conveys is genuine in some ways, and it's just that it depends how you take the film. If you take it at face value, it's awful in many ways. I mean, it starts off with a fair bit of bigotry from the characters. There's a lot of football hooligans, grown men fighting, and the banter is pretty exclusionary. There's quite a lot of unpleasantness in the dialogue, and so why would I even entertain it? I think it's just the gist of the feeling. I actually saw the film a second time, and that helped me look at it in a different way, and I felt like I could understand it a bit better second time. The first time, the essence of the story is that Danny Dyer's character is a man with a midlife crisis. He's a middle-aged football thug, and his mates don't help him. And as the title of the film suggests, there's marching powder, which is, I don't know if it's cocaine or other drugs. I don't know, is he a junkie or is that heroin? I don't know, but he's an addict, or he certainly partakes in a lot of drug taking. He drinks a lot and he fights a lot, and so he's an addict in all these ways. At one of the football matches at the start, or rather outside the football stadium in Grimsby, his mates and him are fighting the opposition, the Grimsby football rivals. The two firms clash, and then the police come and break it up, and he gets arrested, and he goes to court and he gets a suspension held over. The court says, you've got 6 weeks to sort your life out, 6 weeks probation, and if you haven't, then after those 6 weeks you're going down, you're going in this slammer, you're going into prison. And he doesn't want that. He's married. His wife, who is called Dani, I think Dani, she will not put up with him in the slammer. So he's got to turn his life around in 42 days. It's a difficult position because his wife's lovely, got a huge amount of sympathy for her, didn't have much sympathy for him. She's sacrificed so much. She went to art college, she gave up a lot, and he hasn't given up much because he's going to football matches regularly. His life is largely revolved around the games. There are various games that form the chapters, form the large titles of each section. So Yeovil later on is another chapter, and there's Tranmere, which is in the Wirral. It's part of Birkenhead. There's all these matches that he goes to. He's got a son. He's got quite a young son, perhaps a 10-year-old. His father-in-law is quite a threatening chap. He's funding for his grandson, who is the protagonist, 10-year-old son, to go to private school, and that keeps him a bit more on the straight and narrow, probably. He's funding that, and he threatens to remove that if, is it James? Oh, I can't remember. If he doesn't buck his ideas up. But he also puts in another proviso which conflicts, and that is, could you look after your brother-in-law who's coming out from a kind of rehab, some sort of, not young offender, I think he's older than a young offender, but he's been in a custodial place, and he's quite a handful of a character. And he also doesn't treat James very well, Danny Dyer's character, very well. The mates, Danny Dyer's character's mates, don't take it seriously that he could end up in prison. It's like when the young lad who he's looking after slips drugs into his drink, just say, oh no, that's not a good idea, but allow him to do it. I mean, there's that sort of code of conduct that men often have, as they won't stop something, and women generally would. So I'm talking about generalised, but there's all this sort of problematic. Now, I'm going to try and avoid using toxic masculinization, but there's that sort of thing that keeps happening. There's a certain sort of, you have to allow things to happen as they happen. As a rule, women tend to not accept that. There's this more civilizing effect on humanity because of that, because certain behaviour would not be tolerated. And so the fact that he's with Danny is a crucial thread that if that breaks, you can see it'll be much harder for him to recover. And yet Danny is already preparing for that eventuality, because she does go back to art college, and good for her. And she gets chatting to the tutor, the facilitator of the group. There's various things. There's an exhibition later on. There's events that I thought, is this actually happening or is this imagined? And then it seems like it did happen, and you think, but surely just this particular situation will just blow the whole situation apart. The whole probation is relatively lenient, and one thing that worried me when I was first watching it was, is probation really that lenient? Is it really or not? I don't know what the reality is. Maybe it is much more allow people to make mistakes, to really mess up. But if they're actually showing willing and actually trying in many respects, and they're starting to turn things around, that's enough. That's the crucial conundrum of this film that I'm not really sure about. It depends what is the reality. It is a very difficult situation. I've seen enough films of people involved in drug gangs, things like that. They get into a situation, county lines for kids. Many youngsters, young adults even, they get involved in this situation. When I was involved a great deal in time banking, I'd set up a time bank over 20 years ago now. I talked to this man who was in his 70s or 80s. He said that when he was young, he lived in Islington, Essex Road. He was in the wrong crowd and he was involved in all the gangland stuff. And the only way he managed to escape the situation was to move out of London into the West Country. Otherwise, he'd have been in that vicious cycle forevermore. And he got out decades ago and he turned his life around. And the whole thing about this film is that is a way out, possibly, for the protagonist. I'm reminded of films like Fish Tank. There might be glimmers of hope, like with Mia, Katie Fisher's character. Escaping from a difficult environment might be the only way to turn things around. So there's glimmers of hope when things like that happen. But for many people, they don't. Now, first time around, I'd have probably scored this about 7 out of 10. Second time round, I would up the score a bit. I'd give it 7.5, maybe 7. I'll give it 7.75. So it actually redeemed itself in my head. There might be more glimmers of hope than I was first thinking. I'd love to know what you think about this film. Thanks for watching. Please like if you like this review. Thanks for subscribing. Please hit that notification button to find out about the next review. And I hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.